We are in Omaha at the ABA Ag Bankers Annual Conference and joined now by John Blanchfield, Senior Vice President for the Center of Agriculture and, help me out,
Rural banking.
Rural banking. Of course, we know that. Well, John is, in fact, was at this conference, awarded a 25-year plaque for all the great service, and so you have seen a lot of the ups and downs. So one of the things we want to talk about, kind of first off, is the election that just happened.
Yes.
There's a change in Washington. How do you see this change?
Well, we had an election. The House is now more Republican than it was, but still the majority, and the Senate will be majority Republican as well. But for agriculture, the big change occurred in 2014 when the president finally signed the Agricultural Act of 2014, the Farm Bill. Mm-hmm. You know, what happens now, there'll be some corrections or some minor modifications made to the 2014 Farm Bill, but really for agriculture, the big home run was earlier this year. Senate committees will change. We'll get a new chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, probably Pat Roberts from Kansas, who is returning.
Okay, so if the home run was done
yes.
With that Farm Bill, now we're learning more seemingly every day on the implementation.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's probably where your members need to be right in the thick of it as well, to make sure that they understand as they meet with their people that they limit.
And in fact, one of the big sessions we have at the conference this year is called the Farmer Decision, ARC or PLC, and because farmers will soon be signing up, and as you know, the 5-year decision, and probably more than anything else, trying to get a farmer to make a commitment for 5 years is kind of difficult. It is, in my opinion, the most complicated farm bill we've ever passed. There is a lot of decision making that farmers have to make. Bankers need to know, in order to be better partners with their customers and for them to be informed. If their customer says, well, I've decided to go with countywide ARC, well, that banker better know what that means. So that's what we're trying to do here at the conference.
As you walk up and down the halls up on the Hill, has the story that you tell changed because of what we saw a couple of years ago as the Farm Bill was trying to get completed? We were in very good times with row crop agriculture. We are now with livestock, but still doesn't maybe gain that momentum that crop livestock. So what's the story you tell as you'll be meeting with some of these new members now?
Well, first, to remind members of Congress that banks are a very important part of the farm finance chain. It's amazing to me how many members of Congress don't understand how much banks have invested in agriculture, which is in the neighborhood of $150 billion just in farm and ranch loans. So helping members of Congress understand the role that the ag bankers of this country play, how important they are, and to make sure that they understand that there are choices in agricultural lending. You know, for some reason, a lot of members of Congress think that the farm credit system is the only lender out there, and that's just not true.
Well, the other thing I'm sure that everybody always wants to know is how things are in the farm economy as well, and the health of agriculture banks, right? Really good, right?
Yes, agriculture banks have a lot of liquidity, a lot of capacity. They're very cash rich now because farmers have done so well. There's a lot of deposits. So one of the things we're talking about at this conference is a potential downturn in the ag economy. Farmers have borrowing capacity. Banks have the capacity to loan. And people are all very nervous right now, but the traditional role of banks has been to provide liquidity to farmers when they don't have it themselves. That's why you borrow money. You have a liquidity need, so the banks are there for them.
One of your biggest competitors, the farm credit system.
Yes.
That has been an ongoing issue with both sides trying to gain either the upper hand or I know from your standpoint, trying to make sure that playing field in your eyes stays level.
Yes.
in Washington. Is there movement there? Do you think you're moving the ball, if you will, from the bankers' side?
Well, I'd like to say yes, we are, but the Farm Credit System has their allies. The Farm Credit System has been around for almost 100 years. Now the banking industry's been around for over 200 years, but everyone has their allies. What our argument is that the Farm Credit System seems to have moved away from traditional agriculture. Verizon is a phone company. Many people have cell phones, Verizon cell phones. The Farm Credit System loaned them $725 million last year. You tell me, and that's what we say to members of Congress, what does that have to do with agriculture? Or rural America, for that matter? So we're educating members of Congress about what the Farm Credit System is. And for folks like Frank Lucas or Debbie Stabenow, they certainly understood. But with these new members of Congress, it's a brand new education process.
Well, it looks like you have your work cut out continued. So
thank you very much.
All right, John Blanchfield has joined us. He is Senior Vice President with the American Bankers Association Center for Agriculture and Rural Banking. For AgView, I'm Ken Rogers.